This is the Xiaomi 14 versus the Xiaomi 13T Pro. Today I wanted to go over a flagship compact Xiaomi phone versus Xiaomi 13T Pro, which is a more budget-friendly but also a beast of a phone, and I wanted to see how those two flagship devices actually compare. The Xiaomi 13T Pro is almost a year old at this point, while the Xiaomi 14 released in early 2024. The first difference you're gonna notice is the screen size and overall size of the phone. The Xiaomi 14 has a 6.36-inch AMOLED display, which is a beautiful display, and it's a really nice looking display with nice color accuracy, nice colors and contrast. While the Xiaomi 13T Pro has a 6.67-inch AMOLED display. It is definitely bigger, but it's also an AMOLED display with beautiful color rendition, color saturation and contrast. All of these devices have amazing beautiful screens that really stretch out all the way to the end of the device, so you literally have as little of bezels as possible. The Xiaomi 14 can go from 1 Hz all the way to 120 Hz. So if you're playing games, you can take advantage of that, but also when you're doing something more static, it can save energy and the screen by going into lower Hertz mode. So for example, if you're just scrolling on a website, it can go down to 30 Hz or 20 Hz. While the Xiaomi has different modes, but its maximal range is 144 Hz. So in both cases, you can really take advantage of the screens for gaming. And because of their speed, they really feel super snappy and quick when using in daily situations. One difference here is that the Xiaomi 14 has a max peak brightness of 3000 nits, while the Xiaomi 13T Pro can go all the way up to 2600 nits. But in real usage, I noticed that those two screens are amazing outdoors, even in harsh sunlight situations, where you can really see what is on the screen even in direct sunlight, which is really good. If you prefer smaller phones, I feel like Xiaomi 14 is just a better form factor for that more compact size of a phone, and it's a little bit more of a square design, while the Xiaomi 13T Pro has a much bigger screen compared to Xiaomi 14, but also it's squared off on the front, but it's a little bit more round on the back, and both of them have some kind of curvature, but the Xiaomi 13T Pro has more of it, while the 14 is a little bit more squarish because of the side panels. Here we have like a silver lining all around the phone, which is really premium and really, nice and looks really good, which is a little bit more squarish, while the Xiaomi 13T Pro uses a more kind of like a semi-squarish design where the front is squarish, but the back is more rounded off, and it's a little bit different feel, and in my opinion the Xiaomi 13T Pro is just more ergonomic, while the Xiaomi 14 feels a little bit more premium, so it's kind of like a different kind of a design. Another difference between those phones is what is the chipset inside. The Xiaomi 14 runs with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. So the top of the mobile smartphone chips, and you can see that when playing games. You can pretty much play any game at the highest settings. While the Xiaomi 13T Pro uses a MediaTek Dimensity 9200 Plus. And while it isn't as powerful of a chip, it's definitely a really powerful chip anyway. You can play pretty much all the games in the highest settings too. So there isn't much of a difference here, but on a synthetics test, you're gonna see that the Xiaomi 14 has a stronger chipset than the Xiaomi 13T Pro. I feel like in everyday situation where you're just scrolling social media, taking photos, videos, going on a website, and even gaming, you're not really gonna feel that huge of a difference. But on paper, the Xiaomi 14 has a better, stronger chipset. But because those two devices are paired with really fast displays and with 12 or 16 gigabytes of RAM, those devices feel really quick and snappy. There is not going to be much difference in terms of everyday usage and how snappy they are. They're really fast, and overall, what they have inside really make them feel really premium, really quick and responsive. Another difference between those two devices is the battery and their charging capabilities. The Xiaomi 14 has a smaller battery with 4610 mAh battery, while the Xiaomi 13T Pro has 5000 mAh battery, so slightly more, and also it can charge faster thanks to its 120 watt charging, while the Xiaomi 14 can charge in 90 watt charging mode. But the Xiaomi 14 can be charged wirelessly and also can reverse charge other devices, while the Xiaomi 13T Pro cannot do those two features. What is really nice is that both of these phones have pretty much everything in the box already right away. Both of them come with a pre-applied screen protector, also with a case. In Xiaomi 13T Pro you have a clear case, while on the Xiaomi 14 you have a little bit more of a premium case because it's a grayish and a little bit different kind of a material. But the biggest thing is it's not going to be yellowish after some time like the clear cases tend to do, while the grayish is going to stay gray for the duration of your usage. The only caveat here is that the clear case, you can see the design, while the grayish, you kind of lose the design of the Xiaomi 14, especially when you get one in the white version. And both devices come with their respectable USB-C cable and their chargers. So like in the Xiaomi 13T Pro you have a 120 watt charger, and in the Xiaomi 14 you get the 90 watt charger. So essentially you're pretty much ready to go straight from the box. Both of these devices use a fingerprint sensor on the front, which are both really fast and snappy to use, really quick and accurate, which is really nice and snappy. You can also use the face unlock, but it is based on the selfie camera, which can be a little bit less secure than the fingerprint sensors that we have on the front. And another similarity is those two phones run on the HyperOS system on the Android 14. Xiaomi 13T Pro came with MIUI 12 and Android 13, while the Xiaomi 14 came stock with the HyperOS. But now both of them run on the HyperOS system and is really good for connectivity in the Xiaomi ecosystem. And probably the most fun part for me about these two phones are the cameras on the back. Xiaomi 13T Pro has a triple camera system, with the main being a 50 megapixel camera, the second being a telephoto, so a 2x zoom with another 50 megapixel sensor, and there is another smaller camera which is an ultra wide angle lens which is 13 megapixels. While the Xiaomi 14 has triple 50 megapixel camera setup, with all of them being 50 megapixel, and you'll have the telephoto, ultra wide, and the normal camera. In my opinion, those two phones have amazing photos. Both of them are Leica branded, so software and hardware are in collaboration with Leica, and you can shoot in Leica Authentic and Leica Vibrant. The Vibrant tends to be a little bit more brighter and a little bit more colorful, while the Authentic looks a lot more natural and how you would see it in real life. In my opinion, those two phones have amazing cameras for photos, and even in low light they perform really well. The one difference here I would say is mainly that the wide angle sensor on the Xiaomi 13T Pro is not good in low light, so you have to use the night mode to actually use it in low light situations, while on the Xiaomi 14 all three are amazing even in low light situations. Sometimes I feel like the Xiaomi 13T Pro has slightly better photos, but then sometimes I feel that this Xiaomi 14 has slightly better photo in that location, so I would say it's pretty much like a tie depending on the situation, but more often than not I personally felt like the Xiaomi 13T Pro was slightly better for me, but that is I guess personal preference, and depending on where you shoot, the setting, the light, everything could be different. So I would say they're pretty close to each other in terms of photo department. And on the front we have selfie cameras. Well, on the Xiaomi 13T Pro we have a 20 megapixel selfie camera on the top, while on the Xiaomi 14 we have a 32 megapixel sensor on the top. In terms of video, both can record up to 4K 60 frames per second or in 8K in lower frame rates, but if you wanted to do that, you can do it. The 4K 60 frames per second look amazing on both of these phones. I really love the way the Xiaomi 13T Pro records video, and maybe it's not the biggest selling feature of that phone, but I feel like it's amazing, and even in low light situations it creates amazing stunning videos. We literally snuck in a couple of times footage from this smartphone into our videos and people never noticed because that's how good it performed even in low light situations. And pretty much the same thing can be said about the Xiaomi 14. There will be slight differences, but it's going to be once again slight differences that you see when you compare two side by side, but if you only had one you would probably be happy with both. As you can see, those two phones, while they're really close to each other in many aspects like the photo and video department, but they're really different in so many different aspects: the size, the battery, the charging capabilities and speed, and overall usability. So it's kind of like a really similar feeling, but also at the same time slightly different. So I guess it's dependent on what you prefer. If you prefer a more squarish and smaller smartphone, then the Xiaomi 14 is much more compact and it just feels like a compact beast. But if you are after a bigger screen, the Xiaomi 13T Pro is definitely the one to get. But I would say that definitely, no matter which way you go, you're gonna be happy with both of the phones. The performance and usability is amazing, especially for their price, and I would personally say I would be happy with both of them. I personally have been using the Xiaomi 13T Pro since the day it released, and it's been my daily driver ever since. But the Xiaomi 14, if I wanted a smaller phone, definitely feels so premium that when I'm using it, I really feel like this could be my main daily driver too. So I would say it's really your personal preference which one you prefer, but I feel like they are both amazing in their own rights, really close to each other, but also a little bit different. And at the end of the day, I feel like you have to pretty much choose whatever you feel is more important to you. With that being said, that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope you guys learned something new today. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again, and I'll see you next time.